Ah, I was muted. You're correct. Here to watch the stream and explain more lore? Oh boy. Alright, hit me. Also, by the way, Discord is live, so you'll find that in the description of this stream. So you can go down there and join that. And there will be more, well, there are more lore avenues there as well. You noticed? I did make it a point to make it pretty evident, because I'd like to build the community. Okay. This is weird, not having done it for a week. My hands are needing a stretch. Right into it. Anyways, because of their relationship with the Ecclesiarchy, the Moonlight Angels have some relics on loan to them. Interesting. Like what specifically? Don't know, but something important to the Ecclesiarchy. Now, I gotta admit, I'm not really that familiar with relics in general in the universe. Like, I know what a few of them are. So, anything you say, I will believe you. Probably Sanguinius Bolter. That is definitely his guys are not making this up. Yeah. I do feel like that's something that, you know, the stock Blood Angels would want. Does seem relatively important. Maybe that's a part of the loan agreement to get rid of all Sanguinius' equipment that the Ecclesiarchy has. An agreement with the Blood Angels? You know, the Catholic Church is forged on countless relics related to Jesus. Yeah, that's what's happening here. Okay. Okay. Also, if for some reason my brain seems absolutely fried tonight, it's because I just got home from work like 30 minutes ago. So, there's an explanation for that. And if I sound a little bit congested, it's because I am, because my allergies decided to go full force, just raging today, despite the medication. Mention that the Moonlight Angels chapter symbol is the 3 moons of their homeworld. I do believe you mentioned that in Rain Cloud's stream the other night. Oof, this is a rough detail job. You can tell I've been a week out of it. Rain Cloud. 'Tis up. Making progress on things that I have not accomplished in the last week since our last stream. Because my life hates me and doesn't want me to have any free time. I said I had ideas. Don't recall saying that. Maybe I did in a lucid stupor. Like I said last stream, I don't want to influence. I'll just help create. Just here to make noise. How's the collab coming? It's not, because I had food poisoning yesterday, so I didn't do anything with it. And today, I didn't get home until about 30 minutes ago. So, still nothing. That I forgot another green bit. And out of here, I'm currently trying to figure out how to get a modded Minecraft server to work. So you hear my background noise. 20 original Space Marines. Technically, there were 18, but also 19, but also 21, but also technically 20, but definitely 18. I like how when he's here, they just evolve into Warhammer explanations. Because he has been previously described by myself that he is a Warhammer know-nothing. Despite arguments. I still need you to write all those questions up for me, too. First Legion was the Dark Angels. True. A lot more chapters, but Legions are the original Space Marines organization. Yep. Yeah. The Second Legion was redacted. Yeah. Oh, we're just going through all of them. All right. I think I've had this discussion. I had this discussion with you on the podcast. Yep. Iron Warriors, those are my boys. Alright, because there were two that don't exist, or they don't claim. They're confirmed not to exist, for sure. Because there were skulls in one of the books on Malkador's throne that had 2 and 11 engraved on them. So we're pretty positive that they were nullified and absorbed into other chapters. Particularly the Ultramarines, because they had the most and they would draw the least attention. Still on track. Yep, the Alpha Legion are an interesting bunch. That is for sure. I'd be doing the same thing, but I'm trying to multitask. Ooh, ooh. I've tried to memorize the number, and I think I'm pretty close to getting them all. The last 5 always trip me up. Like, I know 20 is Alpha Legion, 19 is Raven Guard, 18 is Salamanders, 17 is Luna Wolves or Black Legion. Is that right? Or no, that's Word Bearers. 16 is Luna Wolves. Sorry, I'm not reading your chats, so I don't have a cheat sheet. Yeah. The 2nd and 11th were presumably purged. Originally, they did that to give people a reason to homebrew. But then homebrewing kind of expanded beyond the capacities of just the two, especially whenever they came up with the idea of successors. Yeah, Sons of Horus are 16, Word Bearers are 17. And then 15 1,000 Suns. 14 are Death Guard. 13 is Ultramarines. 12th is World Eaters. I could just cheat off your chats. Each legion was indeed led by Primarch. We're giving him basic lore. Basic lore. How many Primarchs are still alive? Officially, 5. Well, 5 have been revealed in the lore. We know Perturabo is alive. Pretty much all of the Traitor Primarchs are alive, except for Horus. And Omegon, who may also be Alfarius, or may be Alfarius disguised as Omegon, or Omegon disguised as Alfarius, or Omegon disguised as Alfarius disguised as Omegon. But the ones who are actively in the setting right now are Gilliman, the Lion, Fulgrim is the most recent one, and Angeron, obviously, and then, what's the other one? Magnus, he's definitely one. Oh yeah, and Conrad. Forgot about him. Not a huge Night Lords guy. But I also haven't read the books, so as soon as I read the books, which I have on my shelf right over there, it'll probably change my mind. Like, indefinitely. Alfarius and Omegon were twins. They started out as one, but whenever they were dispersed across the galaxy as children, they split in two. And then they found each other later on. And they were like, hey, you're me. And he was like, I am you. And he goes, no, I am you. He is me. Well, the rest are dead or asleep or just dead. So the Loyalist Primarchs that are for sure dead are Ferrus Manus of the Iron Hands and Sanguinius of the Blood Angels. They're the ones that are for sure dead. Jagatai Khan is off getting some Eldar booty in the Webway. or kicking Eldar booty. We're unsure at this point because we haven't seen him for 10,000 years. And let's see. There's a lot that are missing. Dorn is presumed dead, but there is a good chance that he may return. Which I would be okay with, because Dorn is kind of a badass. Not gonna lie. He's getting what? See, we're unsure because he's in the webway, which is where all the Drakari are. And they're the evil, sadistic elves. Who are still currently evil and sadistic. And so... I'm totally kidding, but that's, like... He's off destroying Eldar. Like Dark Eldar. We'll just put it that way. Yeah, Leman Russ is in the Eye of Terror. Which reminds me, Rankloud, I did think of another idea for said series. But I don't know if it's something I can do yet. Yeah, Gilliman is back. The Lion is back. Who am I missing? Lehman is gone. Dorn is gone. Sanguinius is dead. Ferris is dead. Gilliman's back. I already said that. I'm just going through them in order in my head. Vulcan is dead and is currently waiting on his respawn timer. The reason they are evil and sadistic is because they want to prevent Slaanesh from feeding on their souls. That is correct. Yeah, they discovered that the way to satiate Slaanesh is to do all the things that Slaanesh likes them doing. So they're doing more of it, to an extreme sense. One of them is dead. Are they dead? Sanguinius for sure is, and Ferrus Manus for sure is. Because whenever a Primarch dies, there is like a psychic explosion amongst their sons. And that's, for the Blood Angels, whenever Sanguinius died, that's what led to the Black Rage. And them having hallucinations of seeing themselves as him at the moment of his death. So, if that explains anything. Which killed billions of Eldar and shattered their empire into 1,000 pieces. Oh, we're still on the Eldar. Trying to carry on two different concepts at once, and it's messing with me. I also have Son of the Forest too, which I haven't read yet because I'm trying to make my way through the Eidolon book. It's a very slow process because I rarely have any time to read, much less time to paint. But that it is on my list to read soon. But I also have the Night Lord's Omnibus and the Eisenhorn Omnibus that I need to get through. I haven't started any of those. I also have the second Horus Heresy book that I need to start because I read the first one. The first one's an absolute masterpiece. Any Space Marine questions? He knows better than to ask any of those because I'll go on a 30-minute ramble on Space Marines. I am a little Astartes pilled. Both Chaos and Loyalist because they happen to be my favorite faction. Because I do have a habit of rambling about Warhammer facts. Because it is a little bit of a passion. Just a little bit. I like funny machine men. I mean, they're hard not to like. What sucks about them, though, is they make everything more complicated than it needs to be. But nobody can really do anything about it because if they piss them off, then they'll just sunder them with their titans. Because they can do that. I was hoping to get done with this stream, but I don't know if I'm gonna make it. Yes, yes, praise be to the Omnissiah. That was one of the funniest things in Space Marine 2, is just how mad they were that the Mechanicus were even there. Because they're just annoying. To everyone. They have a point. They like to do a little trolling. What point do they have? They just make things more difficult to function. Not that they don't have a monopoly on the entire technological innovation of the Imperium. And like the Imperium would come to a screeching halt without them. Not that it's not already at a screeching halt and just decaying beyond belief. Anyway, so the machine god might be inspired by a Catan hidden under the surface of Mars. Yes, the Void Dragon. But we don't speak of that. Or at least if you're Emperor affiliated, you don't speak of it. Because it is believed that he's the one that put it there. Hold up, that sounds way more interesting. Oh yeah, it's kind of a... It's a key thing. Their machine... Well, not their machine god. Kind of their machine god, but not really. Basically, it's Catan Shard that's trapped underneath the surface of Mars. Allegedly by the Emperor. And that's... like the source of their entire cult, because the cult Mechanicum started during the Dark Age of technology, whenever Slaanesh was born and basically tore the Imperium's structure apart, and everyone was left isolated. And so the Mechanicum was just normal people who had settled on Mars, and they had to revert underground, and their only life support systems could be maintained by these specific people who became honored as tech priests. They were the first tech priests. And so they devolved into believing that the machine was God, basically. And at some point, the Emperor was involved there. It was probably before all that happened and before everything split. If you do, that one female tech priest knows about it. You're right. The one who actively goes down there in the Mechanicus game. I've never played the Mechanicus game, but I rewatch the teaser trailers for both of them regularly because the voice lines alone are incredible. Is it a space dragon? Probably the Emperor. When the Emperor finished conquering Earth and the Luna, they already had their empire. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was already established, so he was there. It's called the Void Dragon, but it's a Catan shard. The Catan were the star gods who made the Necrons immortal and also ate their souls. The ones that the Necrons got mad at because they were basically enslaving their people. And so they waged war with them and split their souls into pieces and scattered them throughout the galaxy. And also used them as batteries. souls are very tasty. What's with people eating souls in 40k? I mean, it's a common thing. Well, 65 million years ago, it was a common thing. And it usually has to do with deities, typically. Eating souls. Now that I think of it, though, the only ones on record are Slaanesh and the Catan. Because despite 1 million psychers a day being sacrificed to the Emperor, or not 1,000,000, 1,000, I don't think he's consuming their souls. I think he's just consuming their psychic essences, which is tied to their souls. Anyways, if you have questions about the Moonlight Angels, I'll be happy to answer them all. This is the best of my ability. He knows better than to ask questions about homebrews, too. Because I send him stuff regularly. Particularly about the Sons of Sorrow. Maybe the Fervent Storm. Most recently, the Sons of Sorrow. I wrote a short little excerpt on their current campaign. Just a tiny little excerpt. Not really, but they sound cool, though. Yeah, that's what we were working on all last stream. And then it bled over into your stream. For the record, I didn't instigate it. But I was heavily prompted. I caved under influence. I was peer pressured into it. So you can't be upset with me for bringing 40k into your Star Wars stream. But when you think about it, there are many Star Wars references in 40k. Maybe not direct references. Well, there is one direct reference, but I don't even know if he's really canon anymore. Then it continued in my stream. The peer pressure was like at 1 PSI. Listen, it takes nothing to get me going. Thought it would be funny if there was a Space Marine chapter that was literally just vampires. Accidentally created a whole chapter. Yeah, that's where it derived. And it makes sense for it to be the Blood Angels because they are inherently vampires. My question is, have you written up an actual doc yet? Because I have multiple docs dedicated to my homebrews. They have the tappings of vampires. And this is, you know, a successor chapter. You hope one of the squad leads is Strahd. You make that one of your captains. Like, your first captain's name is Strahd. Only the D&D people would appreciate that. Strahd as a Space Marine is a terrifying concept. He kind of already exists. Mephiston, who is on record to be the most powerful Psyker in the Imperium at the moment, next to the Primarchs, of course. He's basically Strahd, because he is a Blood Angel and the stupid powerful Psyker. Like, stupid powerful to the point that he overcame the Black Rage just by sheer will. It's kind of crazy. Ooh, this is rough. It's fine. Oh, that's terrifying. Camila is the first captain turned Nurgle Wars. Oh, right, because they had that split. Kind of like the Iron Hands did. Only the Iron Hands didn't go to Chaos. They just split into different chapters. Well, one chapter being the Sons of Medusa. You will rage. No, I don't think I will. Yeah, and like whenever it happened, his personality completely flipped because he was just a normal battle brother. And then he became like a whole new being. And he was a ball, I believe, recently. That's what we've seen him in most recently. Anyways, if you're unaware of what the Black Rage is, imagine getting kicked in the ball so hard that your future children feel it. I mean, essentially. Except that ball kicking ended up with him dying. It's a very powerful kick. Not gonna lie. That's what the Black Rage is. Sanguinius got murdered so hard that it affected everyone with his gene seed. That's also because the Blood Angels are also all acutely psychic. Like, not always to the point of them being full-fledged psychers, but it's very, very acute. Hence why they all have the potential to be afflicted with the Black Rage. Also the Red Thirst, but don't worry about that. Yeah, we don't talk about the Red Thirst. Honestly, in my opinion, I don't think the Red Thirst gets enough love. Maybe love is the wrong word. Enough attention. Because I feel like everyone just focuses on the Black Rage, and then they forget that they actually want to consume human blood. But we don't talk about it. That is why Sanguinius made it a point that all of his sons would have hobbies. So if you look at the Blood Angels, they are actually a very artistic chapter. They devote themselves to music and poetry and art. It's kind of a cool dynamic because it satiates the Red Thirst. Because he saw their flaw and tried to hide it from his brothers and from the Emperor. And so he decided the best way to conquer it is to give these guys hobbies to keep them calm and satiated. So part of the process of becoming a Blood Angel in the first place, yeah, they have to drink the quote-unquote blood of Sanguinius and then be locked in a sarcophagus for a year. And then they physically change to become some of the most beautiful beings in the galaxy. Oh, beautiful isn't quite correct, but they change physically to look slightly more like Sanguinius because he was the pretty Primarch. With no effort. Fulgrim was the pretty Primarch with maximum effort because he wanted to be pretty. Sanguinius didn't have to try. Blood Angels are very weird, and I like them very much for it. I do enjoy me some Blood Angels. I didn't really until I started researching them more, because I like the Lamenters, and the Lamenters sparked my Sons of Sorrow. And then I started to fall more and more in love with them. I also have the Lords of Blood book over there that I need to read too. But that's all about Dante. Speaking of Dante, fun fact for the layman here, oldest space marine on record. He's about 12, what's the number, like 12 to 1600 years old. He's an old boy, because space marines usually only live to about 600 years if they get old. It's very rare. Joined back just in time to hear the words pretty Primarch. He is a pretty Primarch. Everyone loved him because he was pretty and he was acutely psychic. And he was very charismatic. Like, if Horus wasn't the War Master, Sanguinius would have been chosen. The only reason Horus was chosen was because charisma was his thing. He had, like, ultra riz. Can a space marine die of old age? I'm not aware of any, because their philosophy is only in death does duty end, so they literally go until they die. I don't know of any marines that have aged to the point of quote-unquote retirement. Now, there are old ones that have been interred in dreadnoughts. Like Bjorn the Fell-Handed, who is the oldest on record. He remembers the heresy. He's a space wolf, by the way. I mean, if they were going to die of old age, they would be put into a dreadnought? Pretty much. Because dreadnoughts are like, you live forever now. Unless it's like a Leviathan dreadnought, where it literally consumes you. Consumes is the wrong word. It drains you. That's a better word. Knocked over my box. I made a new purchase the other day that's going to be assembled at some point. I got these guys. Woo! So we're going to be working on them, and they will probably end up in the Fervent Storm. Because if I'm going to do my new homebrew warband, I'd like to start with a character unit, so I can just have one to test the scheme on. I still have this guy too. I need to build him. He's for my other loyalist homebrew. Pretty much, and I think it sucks to be in one. I believe it does suck to be in one. Because they're literally not allowed to die. But if they're afflicted with, say, the Black Rage, and they are a Death Company Dreadnought, then they won't care. Because they'll just want to kill Horus. Even though he's been dead for 10,000 years. Base is blue. Yeah, this came from a special box. I don't know what exactly, but I bought it on eBay, which realistically is the best place to buy Warhammer. But it's just a captain in Gravis armor. I'm gonna paint him as a captain for my Reliquary Brotherhood to test out the scheme that I have. Special ones sometimes are a different color, especially if they really want you to paint them as Ultramarines, which I don't, so I'm going to prime him in gray. I've seen the animated meme of the apothecary trying to help a dreadnought. Brother, stop touching me. Have you seen, like, the actual clip, though? Because the actual clip is, like, kind of sad. Because he's seeing the sands of Baal. Because he's in his last moments. It do be kind of depressing. No, just the funny part. We'll add that to our list. But the idea that I have right now might take a while. But I gotta make sure it's something I can actually do first. Also, Librarian Dreadnoughts, only in the Blood Angels. Don't know why they're the only ones, but they do. I heard an explanation for that not that long ago. Now I can't remember what it was. I think it was because during the Council of Nicaea, Sanguinius was one of the only ones who pushed for psychers to be welcomed in legions. And so he allowed his... because the Librarian Dreadnought was a direct invention of Magnus. Because he created them for the Thousand Sons. And so Sanguinius started to use them. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. I also think that the White Scars used them too, because the White Scars were also proponents of psychers. They were very pro-psycher during the Council of Nicaea, that is. Part of me also kind of thinks that Jagatai only did that for brownie points because he was everybody's friend. But I can't confirm that. Alright, is that all our trim? I'm gonna add some more here. I think we might be ready for the wash. Actually, I'm going to add this green here. Also, it's very funny that the Council of Nicaea is still in effect. It's just nobody follows it anymore. The librarians are still very legal. This is true. Very true. But that was kind of one of the plot points of Space Marine 2. Because the Thousand Sons were still mad about it. Which they have every right to be mad about it, because it basically nullified all of them. And made them kinda useless. I also need to figure out what to do with this mace. I know I want to make it like magma, but I haven't found a good recipe that I like for it yet. This will not lead to anything horrific in the future. The future god known as the Emperor of Mankind. Sorry, my lighting is not the best right here. I need to invest in some actual good painting lights. I mean, anything horrific is just a normal day in 40K. Not wrong. You name it, they got it. The only good thing to ever happen is to either be a Chaos Cultist or a Chaos Astartes, or be an Imperium Noble. It's about the only time you can ever get anything good. The Emperor of Mankind's favorite hobby was shooting himself in the foot repeatedly. And look at what happened. He had so much potential. Like, the Imperium was set up for success, no matter what. And then Slaanesh happened, and then it kind of just threw everything for a loop. That I don't think Big E was prepared for. Not gonna lie. Done messed up Aaron. Technically, I guess it wasn't the Emperor's fault. Because he had a plan, and everything was fine until Slaanesh happened. And he kind of had to kick things up a gear with the Unification Wars. What was the Emperor's plan? Also, hi, Zexstorm. Unify humanity and make humanity the greatest civilization to ever exist in the galaxy. Basically his plan. Either that or becoming a god, but we're not 100% convinced of that yet. Considering the fact that if he wanted to become a god, he didn't really have to try that hard. Like, him being the most powerful psyker in humanity just meant that he could do pretty much whatever he wanted. But the whole reason he was so atheistic and was like anti-gods, anti-religion was because he didn't want the actual gods of chaos to get accidental power because people were worshipping them accidentally. Because he was the only one in humanity who knew about them. Malkador might have, but Malkador's a whole different can of worms. Imperial truth existed and still exists among the Space Marines, but no longer exists. The Imperial Creed cult has replaced it. Correct. Yeah, because the Imperial truth was humanity is the best, humanity is the greatest. And we're going to make sure that it stays that way. And then the cult happened. And, yeah, they were like, Emperor is a god. Okay, I'm gonna save painting this mace until the very end. But I think we might be ready to null oil now, and then I'll go in for the codpiece and the skulls and the spikes. Yeah, that's my plan. More the Necron race? Why the Necrons in particular? Because I can send you Necron stuff. Find it funny that the Imperial cult mostly exists solely because of that guy later turned traitor. Extremely funny. It's ironic, isn't it? Like, he burnt down his city, told him not to worship him as a god, and he continued to progress things in a negative direction while trying to pursue gods. It's quite ironic. Which is also part of the reason that I don't like word bearers, but I approve of word bearers. I don't like them, but I don't hate them. Not that there's really any faction that I hate. Except for the Eldar. I hate the Eldar. But as far as Marines go, I realize I forgot this plate here. Yeah, I feel for the word bearers. I feel for all the traitors. That's why I like Chaos so much. It's just because all these guys, like, I vibe with them. I feel them. I understand their reasonings. And so I will advocate for Chaos. Alright. As soon as that dries, I do believe we're ready for null oil. Excuse me. Excuse me. Snack break. I haven't eaten since I got home. Oh gosh. 30 minutes before I started the stream. Out of all the trader Primarchs, I think the one with the best PR, so to speak, is Magnus. Isn't that heresy? Yes, it is heresy. Magnus... I mean, Magnus did do something wrong, despite popular opinion. I'm a proponent that Magnus done effed up. Because he was told explicitly not to use his Psyker abilities, period. And what does he do? He's like, hey dad, look what I can actually do from, you know, half the galaxy away, to tell you about this thing that may be happening amongst my brothers. And breaks psychic barrier and immediately lets a bunch of demons into the Imperial Palace. He's like, oops, Now, how much of that is down to TTS alone? I can't say, but he's definitely the most liked out of all of them. Yep, Magnus is single-handedly the reason that the Council of Nicaea even happened. Yeah, oops is right. Whoops, all demons. I love my normal oil. Literally magic in a bottle. I have a whole nother unopened bottle right next to me. Actually, it's right in front of me. Necrons have been at war with the old ones. Eldari and the Imperium of Man. They eventually allied with, later turned on them. They don't worship the Emperor, and they look incredibly sick. Not to mention heresy. Many people are damned because of consequences they couldn't have foreseen. So, there are a couple issues with your understanding of Necrons, but it's nothing major. The Necrons were at war with the Old Ones and the Eldari. Right now, in the 42nd millennium, they're all starting to wake back up because they went to sleep while the Silent King exiled himself to try to figure out how to return them back to their mortal bodies. But then, when he got to the edge of the galaxy, he saw the encroaching threat of the Tyranids and was like, bugs! Because, what good is a galaxy without biomass if you can't return to it? So he's going around waking up all the Necrons at the moment. The Eldar are just kind of doing their own thing, as long as it pleases Slaanesh, or doesn't please Slaanesh. The Necrons fought a much stronger version of the Orcs. Yeah, they were the Kroorks. They were much bigger and much smarter. And the Orcs ended up devolving. I personally think it was because the Necrons went to sleep and they didn't have anything that powerful to fight anymore. Because Orcs thrive on battle. And the more they battle, the bigger they get. And the bigger they get, the smarter they get. So the Orcs' biggest downfall is the fact that they haven't really been fighting as intensely as they did during the War in Heaven for the last 65 million years. Read lore about the Necrons fighting the Orcs? They did. During the War in Heaven, but they were the Kroorks. They weren't the Orcs as we know them now. Like, I don't discount that fact. It would be interesting to see a Kroork in the modern setting. But I think the closest we'll ever get is Ghazghkull. Because he is currently leading the biggest wall known to man next to the War of the Beast. And he is also the biggest boy. Like, no question. Someday that might speak. Someday they might speak as a normal living being. So it's unfortunate they all lived in the United Kingdom to enjoy football. Sad. Very, very depressing. That they couldn't be civilized like the rest of the galaxy. It's never, ever been explained, but I am really curious what Krork society looked like. Like, were they all just super good warriors who enjoyed a fight and weren't stupid? Like, was that their entire society? I really have no idea. Keep my Nulma from pooling, otherwise it's gonna make things messy. And if you're wondering why this guy has black skin, it's because he's part salamander. What's my favorite faction in 40k? Iron Warriors. I really like the Iron Warriors. Particularly because I like Perturabo. Now, if you wanted me to be, like, super biased, I would say my own. But I just love the fact that they were told to go do the dirty jobs, and they did them without question, but they hated it. Like, they seethed because of it, because Purdy just wanted to build stuff. He wanted to make construction plans and just build stuff because he was a master architect. But no, he was relegated to doing the dirty, grunty work of war because he didn't want war. But eventually it got to the point where he was like, fine, you want war? I'll give you war. And he was just petty. And I'm okay with that, because I'm a little petty sometimes. I'm willing to admit that. Perturabo digs holes, random Imperial Fist. Yeah, because they were constantly in competition with Imperial Fists. Because the Imperial Fists were given everything they wanted. They had an unfair leg up compared to the Iron Warriors, period. But I just like the Traitor Legions because I feel bad for them. They're very relatable. Like, how would you react if you were put in that situation? Given the fact that you had, you know, the same amount of power and skill and all those things. You are petty sometimes? I know, shut up. I admitted it, live on stream. Petty you. So if the Iron Warriors are your favorite faction, are the Imperial Fists your least favorite Space Marine chapter? Not necessarily. My least favorite Space Marine chapter is probably the Space Wolves. because they rely on brutish strength with little to no finesse or skill. Not that they're not skilled, they're the closest thing to the Thunder Warriors that the Emperor ever made. Because they're just brutes who like to drink a lot. Which has its place. And I think the 40k setting is probably that place. But also the wolf motif gets way overused. So I'm just not about that. Someone should clip that. Clip which part? The fact that, I admitted my petulance as a man. I'm a real man. Hi, babe. Yes, I am real man. You want to go skateboards? Sorry, my mind devolved for a moment. I lost total control. I blacked out. What happened? You don't hate their wolf theme? It wouldn't be so bad if they leaned more into the Viking theme than they did the wolf theme. But they are relentless about the wolf theme. Like, they will not give it up. Like, they lack any and all subtlety. If they were more subtle about it, I would probably appreciate it more. Desmond the Moon Bear. I wore pink today to show off that I am secure in my masculinity. I am not secure in my masculinity. That's why I go to the gym. Crap, now this stream is turning into therapy. Stop it. Space Marine, Space Marine, Space Marine, Space Marine. I can't feel feelings. I have to focus on the Emperor. Blood for the Blood God. Give me some fine Slanussi. Nope, forget that. I hate myself for that. Space Marine therapy room. Space Marines are my therapy. It has the Save the Chubby Unicorns on it. Which line are you clipping? Also, yes, save the unicorns. Am I gonna have to make a clips channel? in the Discord. I just realized that I forgot to paint that entire piece of trim. What is wrong with me? I swear, every time I stream, my ADHD kicks in and I forget everything. Any composure or any plan I had immediately goes out the window. And it's all your guys' fault. I blame you. The fact that we destroy our world for profit makes me very angry. Oh, anyways, Blood Angels. I love the Black Rage. Is this just our Warhammer group therapy? I mean, I use Warhammer as therapy, but that's my thing. No one else can have it. I hereby trademark my use of Warhammer painting, writing, and learning as my own personal therapy. My emotional support, Space Marines, to be used at my disposal per my discretion. Put that on a shirt. I'd wear that everywhere. Okay, bye, Rain Cloud. You got sick of me rambling. Anyways, Moonlight Angel's Terminator armor is painted almost entirely silver because they're in the first company now. They're all veterans, and their repentance of the Emperor is almost complete. Hey, I have a very similar deal with the Sons of Sorrow. Their entire first company is silver, except for their shoulder pauldron trim, to signify that they are still technically Lamenters, but they are slowly purifying themselves of the Lamenters' transgressions. And their chapter master wears entirely red armor because they are trying to represent themselves as full-fledged Blood Angels. That's all the normal oil. Sweet. I also use normal oil as kind of a glaze. Add some more on these muzzles. Zach, you're still here? If you are, I'd like to hear more about your thoughts on things. Yeah, I got the idea for the alternative color scheme for the first company. One, from the Dark Angels, and two, because the Astartes Anonymous guys recommended it. And I think it's a good idea, because it gives them more variety in their armor scheme. Alright, I need to do... Oh crap, I didn't do the helmet. Our Moon Angel's helmet didn't get any known oil. We gotta darken that a little bit. Chapter Master of the Moonlight Angels is the opposite. His armor is completely silver. Interesting. Yeah, so I've got the normal Battle Brothers wear the yellow and silver. And then the first company wears the silver with the yellow pauldron trim. The first captain wears silver with red pauldron trim. And the rest of the company's captains have red pauldron trim with the yellow and silver. And then the chapter master wears... it's basically everywhere that's yellow on a normal Battle Brother is red on him. And the heart is black. The more silver on a Moonlight Angel's armor represents closer they are to repentance. Yeah, very similar to what I'm doing. But they are trying to basically be accepted as Blood Angel Brethren instead of being remembered as Lamenters. Okay, should I do the skulls now? Yeah, I'll do the skulls. Scouts, for example, don't have silver. Their repentance has yet to begin. See, I haven't done any 10th Company Scouts. I figured it would just be the same as the rest of the Battle Brothers, since they are derived from Lamenters. Use the tiny brush for this. I didn't think I'd get this dude done tonight, but I may just get him. This mace is going to be the hardest part, because I want to try a different magma technique. These skulls are definitely going to take more than one coat. White is right up there with yellow with having the worst coverage. It's okay if I get a little bit on these spikes because I'm going to paint them in brass. deal with the Death Watch is? Like the Death Watch's deal, or like your chapter's deal with the Death Watch? I'm being made aware that I'm getting some connectivity issues. The deal with the Death Watch is so I can know how to fit it in properly with my chapter. Oh, I honestly don't even bother with the Death Watch because it's kind of a case-by-case basis. Either you can be selected by your chapter to go, or they will select you, and some chapters perceive it as a great honor, and then some chapters perceive it as the worst punishment. So like Titus going to the Death Watch, that was a punishment. He was serving penance by joining the Death Watch. And he was a Black Shield, so he had to like not even acknowledge that he was from the Ultramarines. I honestly just don't even bother with the Death Watch. Unless it happens to come up at some point. Because it's really not something that's totally relevant. So when they get sent to the Death Watch, is it permanent? It's not. So, well, again, it's a case-by-case basis, but if you get sent to the Death Watch, you can return to your battle brothers, and you are allowed to wear the Death Watch pauldron to signify that you were a member of the Death Watch. That's just kind of how they work. Chapter Master Vlad served in the Death Watch. Interesting. So as like when he was a battle brother? Because I don't think officers who are actively serving as officers can be recruited. Don't quote me on that. But that's kind of my assumption. He was the only one to actually return from Death Watch service. In fact, the rest had unfortunate fates. So, similar to how Space Marine 2 plays out. also need to paint those chaos spikes. And the Moonlight Angels had some belief that the first one to actually return from the Death Watch would lead them to greatness. They were wrong. Ah, does that have something to do with the fact that they had their Civil War ordeal? That's it for those spots. Yep, and the fact that the only unfortunate things happen to them. That tracks. Seems to be a theme. Before it just didn't happen, they believed that the return would herald a new era for them, where they would be cured of the various flaws in their gene seed, and possibly maybe even the Black Rage, and the Red Thirst. Their sector would be led to greatness by him. Some held that belief for longer than most, but all gave up on it eventually. What about those that turned? Did they hold it? We're gonna attempt this mace. I don't think I'll need to go super thick with the white, because I'm gonna go over it with yeller. The first captain was the longest believer in it. It was shattered when the Exterminatus happened. Okay. That makes sense. Actually, I should probably coat this whole thing in white and then go over it with Imperial Fist. Yeah, and then we'll dry brush the orange on. Actually, I should probably wash the orange on. Dilute it down. Oh, and I gotta paint the cod piece too. Let me go back to that while this white dries. This probably isn't going to work quite the way I want it to, but at least I tried. Because I don't have an airbrush. I don't expect to own an airbrush anytime soon. Anyways, I still need a specialty for the Moonlight Angels. So with the Sons of Sorrow, I kind of went with being defensive, like martially defensive, kind of a judo kind of thing, where they use their enemies' attacks and reflect them against them. I know a bit of judo, so that kind of played a part, but so like especially in melee, they would take their defensive tactics and use them as offensive, and that goes for, you know, ballistics and stuff too. They always wait for the enemy to make the first move before countering. They are countering masters. But that leaves them vulnerable to assault. Or not to assault, but they are not proficient in assault tactics. They can do them if push comes to shove, but it's not something that they specialize in. Alright, I'm going to paint this brown before I forget again. And then the Fervent Storm. I mean, when they were loyalists, they were made to be assault masters because of their proficiency with, you know, heavy hitting tactics like their predecessors, the Iron Warriors. That was that. But they didn't know that they were related to the Iron Warriors at the time. A hobby of the Moonlight Angels, I have to decide just now. They are archivists. They want to record and archive every little thing that happens. And I did something similar with that with my Terminus Knights. Is similar to the Space Wolves. They're obsessed with telling their stories and proving themselves to the larger Imperium. So their librarians are very active in recording their deeds. Yeah, I got you. full coverage there. Alright, now we'll do another layer of white, and then we'll do another layer of brown. Yeah, I think 2 will be plenty. Because I'm going to be laying down the Imperial Fist. It's not great yellow for a glow effect, but it's probably the best yellow I have. It's not as critical to get it on the edges because I'm going to dry brush gunmetal on the outside. Okay. Should probably call that good out here. Do another layer of the brown. He says as he goes back to the white. I'm not very good at glow effects. I just want to get better. Not necessarily just glow. It would be just a magma effect. Do some steel dots on those studs and then go over it with the Agrax. Sweet. Give that a couple more minutes to dry. Get that bubble out of there. Probably ought to touch this up. That's kind of messy. And I put the bubbles back. I'm just gonna have to deal. Let's see, can I pull out my brass? I think I can. Oh, sorry, it's bronze, not brass. Don't need a ton. Just on these spikes. Probably gonna need more than that. Now we'll do the bolted rounds. Couple of those good. The reason they want to keep an accurate record of the sector, even if it doesn't paint them in a good light, is because they believe that the story deserves to be remembered even if the chapter was to walk into the sun tomorrow. Okay, so they're trying to keep better records than the Imperium. Which is a very low bar. Is there any more bronze? Did I really? Cool. Alright, my bad. I asked you a question. What was it? Oh, are they eliminators? Do they use a lot of long range snipers? Where'd my steel go? I was hiding. No, they like to get up close and personal, so they are true blood angels. The best purging happens up close after all. This is true. I believe the other thing I said was, I am absolutely exhausted. So I doubt we'll make it to the base tonight, but it will definitely be done by next stream. I hope. I at least want to finish the model before we end stream. Mr. Inquisitor, who is definitely a real Inquisitor, told me that, and also to give him my wallet. Mr. James Workshop? He asked for my wallet too, and I gave it to him. No questions asked. Because who am I to question the man who has stolen my life? Also, I need to watch Andor, which came out. So, goodbye. Okay, goodbye. I feel that. I will probably watch it at some point. Maybe, maybe not. I don't ever have time to watch TV. Have fun. That's alright. We'll be here. At least for a few more minutes. I want to try this. Ooh. Try this on my mace idea. Not bad. Not bad. I do want it to be darker in the recesses. And it's contrast paint, so it's going to do that. It's not going to be absolutely perfect, but I don't expect it to be because I've never tried this. It's a Citadel paint, so it's going to take a while to dry. Call that good, go from there. done with that. Need the Agrax. And maybe some blood for the blood god. Maybe. I do believe that we're ready for the Agrax now. I did forget that I'm supposed to water this down, but that's okay. I'll forgive myself this once. Tight. Oh, excuse me. This dude will probably end up in a short. Not tonight. Shortly. Almost dry. That might be it. I do believe. And then the base, of course, but I feel like that's going to be its own project. This might end up looking really good. It almost looks good just the way it is, but I'm not going to be content with that. There is another step in the process. Got the dry brush out. Alright, now we're going to go in with the gunmetal. Make sure we have minimal moisture on our brush. Okay. Yes, yes. It's working. I might have to go a little bit heavier. Kinda like it. Kinda like it. It's a little bright on the camera, but I may actually go just a little bit heavier. It does lose its glow. But I do believe that the point comes across still. I don't know. What do we think? I kind of like it. It stands out, that's for sure. And I do believe, outside of the base, he is done. But I don't have the energy to put into the base right now. So, without further ado, it's going to be the end of the stream. So, thanks everyone for watching. Go join my Discord. Link is in the description of this stream here. And I will see everyone later.